I'd like to call to order the Monday, September 18th, 2023 meeting of the Oakdale Environmental Management Commission. And if we can all stand and pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And next we'll have a roll call. Commissioner Girding,
Here.
Commissioner Wilson,
Here.
Commissioner Chang,
Here.
and we have a new commissioner with us this evening, and we'd like to welcome Chang to our commission.
Thank you.
And if you'd like to maybe just take a minute and tell us just a little bit about you, how long you've lived in Oakdale, et cetera.
Yeah. I'm actually originally from California. Okay, I can't say that. I was born in Thailand in a refugee camp, and then, I came over to the United States and California, and then, my parents moved us up here to Minnesota. So, I've been used to live in Arden Hills, but I've been in Oakdale since November of 2020. So that's when I moved in. Found a really nice place up in northern Oakdale. And it took me forever, I had to search through like 40 houses, but I finally was like, this is the one, because I was always trying to find something unique. Plus it was closer to my parents, so I was like, this is a really great place. I'll put in an offer, see what they said. At first they said no, but then they came back a day later and said yes, and I was like, okay, awesome. So that's how I ended up in Oakdale, but I really like it. It's walkable. There's parks everywhere, easily within distance of just walking, right? You don't have to get in your car and go anywhere to actually, have fun.
Great. Great. Well, welcome to the commission. It's
Thank
great
you.
Thank you for volunteering to be part of this commission.
Yeah, glad.
All right. So the next item on our agenda is approval of our minutes from our July 17th, 2023 meeting. And thank you, Hannah, for putting together such thorough meeting minutes from our last meeting. Very helpful. And I guess I'd open up to see if there are any changes or additions or anything to the amendments to the meeting minutes.
I have one change on page 7. The consultant that Age Friendly Oakdale hired is BIKO, BICO and Associates. It's just spelled differently, that's all.
Okay, and are there any other changes? Hearing none, I would look for a motion to approve the meeting minutes with that change on page 7.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of approving the July 17th, 2023 meeting minutes, say aye.
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 Opposed? Meeting minutes are approved. All right, now we're into reviewing our old business, and we have a few items where we'll be getting updates. The first item on the agenda as far as old business is our Washington County Recycling Grant update. And this grant is something that we've been getting for quite a few years. And again, in 2023, we've received a recycling grant and have identified a number of projects as part of that grant to help promote recycling in the city of Oakdale. And Hannah Dunn is our community development specialist and will provide an update on those projects. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So this first item on the agenda is an update for the commissioners regarding the Washington County Recycling Grant. As part of the 2023 grant application, Oakdale identified 4 projects for use of the funds. The first project was education, promoting residential and commercial recycling through simple, high-level education. City staff has used platforms such as Facebook and the printed and online Oakdale Update newsletter to promote resources such as where residents can recycle plastic bags in Oakdale, and as well as how to dispose of leaves in the fall. Additionally, city staff has attended a farmer's market every month. This is a good opportunity to educate residents about compost and other recycling initiatives. Then the second project is promoting composting as a means of waste reduction. City staff has attended multiple community events such as Summerfest and the Farmers Market. Since the beginning of June, staff has handed out 80 compost starter kits, so doing very well. The third project is decreasing reliance on single-use plastics. Reusable bags were created in support of this project. Staff received the bags in late August and handed them out at the September 6th Farmers Market. Continued promotion of the bags will occur throughout the rest of the year. Then lastly, the fourth project is hosting a citywide cleanup event. But due to staff turnover and how big of a lift it is, staff talked with Washington County about amending this project. Instead of hosting the event in the fall of 2023, we'll just spend the remainder of the year researching and laying the groundwork for a potential future cleanup event. Then because this cleanup event is not occurring, staff decided to add a 5th project. This will consist of expanding recycling in Oakdale parks. So currently the Oakdale Discovery Center and Nature Preserve is the only location with outdoor recycling in Oakdale. Staff from the Chamber of Commerce's WasteWise program is in the process of conducting an assessment of parks and current waste infrastructure. Then they will then provide recommendations which community development and public works staff will use to accomplish the goal of increasing recycling. So that's a quick update about the grant. Do any of the commissioners have any questions about the 4 original projects and then this new addition?
Any questions?
No?
No.
No, I have no questions. I think it's good that we added the additional project. And I know we have in the past looked at the those recycling bins, the ones that have markings on them and for different types of recycling. And so, yeah, it's good to move that forward. So with no questions, I think we'll move on to the next item. Thank you for that update, which is Great Plains Institute EV Smart Program update. And this is a program that we started with Great Plains Institute in February of this year. And there are several levels of certification that we can achieve in this program. And we are moving to achieve the bronze level at this point. Again, I'll turn it over to Hannah Dunn for an update on this.
Thank you. Just to reiterate what Chair Miller said, this program is a voluntary program that allows cities to achieve 3 levels of certification, so bronze, silver, and gold. You can achieve these certifications by creating EV-friendly policies and completing certain actions. These actions are divided into 6 EV readiness categories. They are planning, regulation, utility engagement, education and incentives, government operations, and shared mobility. Additionally, Great Plains Institute hosts a monthly webinar with staff from participating cities. So this cohort is a good opportunity to share resources, ideas, and advice. Before Oakdale joined the program, the city had already accomplished a number of EV-friendly actions, which are listed out in the memo. And then since joining, the city has accomplished one more EV-ready action, which is creating an electric vehicle supply equipment permitting checklist. This checklist will help homeowners developers and contractors to understand the required permits, submittals, and steps for installing EV charging infrastructure in Oakdale. The checklist can be found on the city's website. The link was provided in the PDF copy of the packet sent out via email. Then, with the completion of the checklist, the city is one step closer to achieving bronze certification. The only thing left to fully accomplish the bronze certification is implementing an action that counts for equity points. So the Great Plains Institute has kind of interwoven equity through all the categories and actions so that cities are taking equitable measures. So we just still need 5 more points. Staff has yet to identify what that next action will be to accomplish this, but we will be looking into what, makes the most sense. Is maybe an easier lift to achieve the bronze certification.
Great. One question I had as you went through this, the EV charging station checklist, does that apply to residential charging stations?
If you're going, if you're just doing like a level 1 charging, that does not require an electrical permit. Once you get beyond, I'm forgetting the voltages, but once you get to that level 2 charging, that's when an electrical permit is needed.
Okay. Great. Well, I'm looking forward to advancing in this program. Great Plains Institute is a great organization, nonprofit to work with, and have really good staff. So I know they'll help us as well. And I'm happy that we have that program going and that we're nearly to the bronze level at this point. Any questions for Hannah on this?
Just one, you mentioned the equity piece, the lens to all of this. Is that a way for us to better understand what that looks like across these, there's 6 categories,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I can give maybe one example. I'm not sure which category this would fall under, probably either planning or regulation, but thinking ahead to, there's all these multifamily residences and people who live in apartments that don't have access to EV charging infrastructure. So what can cities do for their ordinances and other regulations that will allow EV charging infrastructure in the right of way so that it's more accessible to people who don't have a garage or a single family home to charge in. So that's kind of an example of an equity piece, thinking how can we make it more accessible to different people.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love hearing that lens because you're talking about both the physical spaces and the access, and each of them you could go a myriad of different ways to ensure that you're not doing harm or things like that. So thank you. Yep. Perfect.
Any other questions on this topic? No?
I have a question.
Yes.
Is there an estimated timeline about when we'll get the bronze certification?
So this was kind of, I believe, a pilot cohort, because I think Great Plains Institute wants to expand this to a nationwide program, so they've been kind of doing cohorts to work out some of those details. So I believe in April of next year of 2024, that's when the program will end. I think it was just a 1-year program. And at that time, if we've achieved bronze and beyond, that's when we would receive those certifications. So this is not an instantaneous thing. It's not like we achieve bronze and then we get some sort of certificate. So I believe in April of next year is when we would receive bronze, and if we, take more steps and achieve silver or gold, then we would receive all those certifications at that time in April.
Well, that's great to hear, especially since, the city of Oakdale is involved in the pilot project. It shows a lot of leadership.
Absolutely.
Do you happen to know if this pilot that'll end in April, is that likely to go as a permanent program under GPI?
That I'm not too sure of. I think it all depends on funding, whether there would be these Minnesota cohorts again, because I believe there was another cohort before us. They also had the Charging Up program, which was a different thing, but kind of related. So they've been having a few different cohorts to build up to a nationwide program. But I believe the nationwide and other cohorts all depends on funding. So fortunately, don't have a concrete answer at this point.
It's okay.
I'm not sure they do either.
Yeah, right. When it's dependent on getting funding, these programs can or may not go on, but, yeah. Well, I hope they do get funding and this can continue and help other cities in becoming EV smart. Great, so our next item is the bicycle and pedestrian plan update. And the Environmental Management Commission is the lead commission for developing a bike and pedestrian system in Oakdale, and has been reviewing plans with Tool Design, the consultant, and with city staff. And this is progressing nicely. And again, Hannah, if you would provide a further update.
Yes, the bicycle and pedestrian plan is very close to being completed. The memo in the packet provided a detailed list of actions that have been taken during the entire, multi-year process. But since the July meeting, the graphic designer at Tool Design completed a first draft of the plan with graphic design elements. Staff reviewed the draft and provided feedback, so the ball's now in their court just to implement that feedback. And then once Tool Design revises the plan and provides the city with the revised draft, it will be posted to the city website for public comment. And then after that public comment period ends, the plan will once again be revised based on the feedback from the public, and then it'll go to city council for formal adoption. So I believe in the next week or two, we'll get that revised plan, and then we'll go up on the website. So that would be an opportunity for the commission to again kind of see the whole plan with all that graphic design and provide feedback.
Well, that's wonderful that we're at that point where it's in the final draft, hopefully, and that will be approved and, uploaded on the website, and after getting public comment, that the city council can formally adopt it. So nice to see that progress, and that it is very important, this bicycle and pedestrian plan, to promote, both bicycle and pedestrian methods, having ways to get to mass transit systems, especially with the Helmo Station going in, and also to provide further recreational and healthy opportunities for people to get out and bike and walk within the city, and to do that safely. As we know, that was one of the top concern about using bicycle and pedestrian pathways is safety. And so hopefully we'll be able to address that with this new plan, and people will be out there biking and walking more, and as I mentioned, having multiple assets in using this system. So any questions or comments from other commissioners? No? Okay. Yeah, I think we've reviewed this quite a bit, so we'll move on. Now we get into new business, and the This will be our main topic this evening, is our 2024 draft Environmental Management Commission work plan. We've been putting work plans together every year for many years. We're starting a little bit earlier than normal in that the timeline for getting a plan to the city council has been moved up, and normally we finish our discussions in November and for city council approval sometime in the new year, generally around February. But we're moving that up so that we can get the plan approved this year by the city council. So tonight's meeting, hopefully will come out of this. We have a draft 2024 work plan that city staff has put together. And so we have that to start with as a first a first draft, and hopefully we'll have some comments and some additions and things for that plan this evening. And I want to thank you, Hannah, for putting this together and for also attaching our 2023 work plan, as well as our comprehensive plan and the resiliency chapter that we've been using to develop our work plan the last few years now. And also the Green Step Cities 29 best practices that we've been working on since the beginning of the Green Steps program. And I can't recall when that started exactly, but it's well over 10 years ago. And so those are helpful tools that we've been using annually to put together our work plan. And so this is always a fun thing for me. I like planning, and and also I think that since this has become a regular process for us, I think we're pretty adept at moving through this process, and with a new commissioner, hopefully you'll just jump right in on this too with any comments you might have. And yeah, Hannah, do you have any other comments as we get into the work plan?
Just that, I know in previous years, the October and November meetings were the times that you discussed the work plan in depth. Like you mentioned, the city council has expressed interest in all of the commissions having work plans, and that their intentions at this point are to informally discuss the work plans at a year-end appreciation dinner. This hasn't been scheduled yet, so I just wanted to make sure that we were on top of it so that when that is scheduled, we have something to talk with them about. So that's why we're discussing it a month, 2 months earlier than previous years. And then in regards to the 2024 draft plan, you'll notice that there are some of the same priorities from the 2023 plan. They've been carried over, such as actions to support the EV-ready community study. There are also the ongoing items like the Washington County Recycling Grant, and water quality and energy efficiency education resources. And then again, we'll be reporting our Green Step Cities metrics for 2023. That reporting period happens in the spring of 2024. Additionally, there's some newer items, such as analyzing, we've been looking into fleet electrification, but maybe more intensely looking at opportunities to actually, purchase or just, collect information so that we're ready to purchase if that's something that the city and the city council are interested in doing. Additionally, monitoring Excel's budgets and public utility commissions filings to know if and when they'll expand some of those EV charging infrastructure programs that they previously had, like the EVSI program and the public charging program. Those are currently shut down because they did not receive the go-ahead to continue those programs. So those are not open to us at this moment, but being on top of it for when they do open up will be beneficial, because I'm sure those will fill up quite quickly. And then lastly, the Parks and Recreation Commission will be the lead commission for a park system plan update, but the EMC will be able to plug in at various times. So that was a new item for the 2024 draft plan. Then at this time, I'll open it up to the commissioners, provide feedback.
Well, I have one thing to start the discussion on the plan. In the first section, in the EV Ready Community Study Priority Action Implementation, I was wondering if we should also add another item around the Great Plains Institute EV Smart program and achieving that bronze level of certification. It's because it sounds like that's going to move into 2024. So we'll be working on it this year, but into next year.
Yep.
So maybe we can go through this section by main action. And so are there any other EV Ready Community Study priority actions? Any comments or additions to that section?
Question about a carryover from the 2023 in this first section. Are we still chapter 8, goal 1? I've already lost my place. Yes, thank you. What was the barrier for the sponsor, coordinate, promote a local ride? Was it capacity? Was it marketing? Like what? Yeah.
Why we weren't able to hold one this
Yeah.
year. I think the timing of the staff turnover from Shannon leaving and me taking over and just getting settled in. Based on what I've heard from other cities who have put on ride and drives, you really have to start planning in almost February and April to lock down EVs for the ride and drive. Dealers, if it's kind of a little hard to lock them down, and sometimes they aren't able to actually bring an EV, and they sometimes don't know till the week of. So just in order to not rush something together and then have it kind of fail because we don't have any actual EVs to drive or ride in, we decided to not pursue that more this year. That will definitely be something that in the early, kind of late winter, early spring, we'll have to really start diving into the planning details of that. We did attempt to find EVs for Touch a Truck, to have EV owners come and just talk about their EVs, but weren't able to find anyone, especially in the September months. That's when a lot of people host their ride and drives because it's National Electric Vehicle Month, and or National Electric Vehicle Week is in September, so there's just a lot of EV events going on in that month. So that was probably the biggest reason, just the timing of turnover and finding available people.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I think this section looks good to me with that one addition. And yeah, I think some of these, due to the not having a staff person for a few months, we had to put on some things on the back burner, and that happens. So, but on that particular item of the ride and drive, maybe to look also for an opportunity to do it with other neighboring cities like Woodbury or Maplewood and have a combined event. I know there was an event, I think in Bloomington, at some point, and that, I mean, if there are other Twin Cities events, but I think that we'd get more Oakdale residents out to a local event, either in the city or in a neighboring city. We'll get more people interested. I mean, the hardcore people that are ready to buy and just going, you know, might go across the city to Bloomington or something, but to get more interest going, I think a local would be best.
I do like I'll echo that, Chair. I do like the idea of a combined cross-city event just for staff capacity and bandwidth. And also, you know, there's, as we all probably are hearing either on radio or whatever your media stream is these days, there's this whole market of used car, like EV, but they're specifically used cars. And they're not at your normal Tesla, Rivian dealer. It's a separate market, so that could also be a way to get more true owner feedback from a ride and drive perspective, is to make sure that we're not only targeting people that can afford to buy new, but we're also targeting people that want to get into the market and really don't want to buy new. So that could be another way to do that, to bridge with that citywide effort.
Yeah. All right, well, if there are no further comments or questions on that first section, let's go to the promote energy efficiency, renewable energy in residential and commercial properties.
Well, at one time, we had talked about having kind of an environmental fair or some kind of environmental gathering, and I don't see any specific reference to that, other than a lot of these items could be combined for informational and promotional purposes. If we had one gathering instead of three.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess at this point, Commissioner Wilson, I think that's something we should pursue in 2024, is doing that to address a number of these areas. And as Commissioner Girding and I have talked about, that having really a concerted effort this year to communicate with residents, and the environmental fair would be a good way to do that. And on a number of these items. So the better communications we can have to engage residents in these issues like energy efficiency. And personally, I think energy efficiency is really a critical one at this point in time, and really would help residents if they realize that there are resources out there to help them, and some of them are no cost to them, like you know, a bill clinic or a solar power hour to get introduced to solar. And so I think that, yeah, there's a lot we can do to engage, and that's kind of an overall theme, I think, for our work plan is community engagement. So.
And we have the Discovery Center, which is usually an excellent venue for that.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and in this section, the Solar Power Hour, we have hosted it in the past at City Hall here, but the Discovery Center might be a good place for that too. And hopefully this year they did not have a Twin Cities solar program by the Midwest Renewable Energy Association because of lack of resources on their end. I think they lost some people as well, and they were not unable to do as many cities this year. So hopefully next year they'll have more resources, and we should probably contact them early about that. And yeah, so I think that's a good venue for doing those sorts of things. Any comments about this item on energy efficiency? All right, let's move to the next one, which is also on, well, connecting low-income residents to weatherization energy efficiency resources, which also builds on from the last one. And I like the items here that are listed. And one idea that I had too that could maybe help in this area is to specifically promote energy audits. And there are, I think there are some no-cost energy audits available, but I believe Excel charges in most cases for an energy audit. And this might be something if we could offer for low-income residents, either free audits or to pay, give a 50% rebate on if they have an Excel audit, so that would be like $50 that we would contribute to the audit. I think we have been conservative about spending our city's money and by this commission's, but I think this would be well worth it to, with energy prices continuing to go up and these things having a great impact on energy efficiency. In fact, they're the most cost-effective method of reducing greenhouse gases, reducing energy costs and consumption. So yeah, I think that is something we could add to this item if we think that there will be money in the budget for next year to cover this. We'd have to project about how many homes and that would entail, but if we do 100 homes, that's only $5,000, so it's not big money, I wouldn't think, for the city. So, and
What
we could
happens
put a
in-
cap on the number of
Yeah.
homes.
What happens in apartment buildings and, places where it's multifamily, but can you get an energy audit there? Do you think?
I don't know the answer to that question personally, but I think looking at multifamily buildings would be a good thing to promote as well, and looking at energy efficiency and working with building owners. Yeah. That would be something good to add here, because probably depending on of course, multifamily, depending on the building, but there are low-income residents in some of the buildings.
I think if adding to that, I think if the Cub Clinic opportunity got out to people that maybe people that rented or whatever situation they were in, that assessment through a Cub Clinic could make the case if they needed a full audit to help bridge that piece. So there's probably to Chair Miller's point, there's probably multiple ways to come at this one, I would think. But generally, thematic-wise, I agree, it should be all about educating and simplifying and demystifying all these programs to our community, because they're out there. It's just, it's tough to make sense out of a lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think if we can, again, with improved communications, engagement of residents, we can let them know of these opportunities. And yeah, I think that's gonna really help move the needle on this one and to get more engagement on energy efficiency. So good, I think we have some good additional ideas there about how we can do that. And any other comments on that section? No? All right, let's go to increase access to solar, and we have Research Soul Smart bronze level designation.
Is that a new program?
Nope, and this was on the 2023 work plan and is probably something I can very well complete before the end of 2023, so there's a chance that maybe we could remove this. I just gotta move it up my priority list to research that. So no, it's basically like Green Step Cities for solar. I'm not sure when it started, but it was on the 2023 work
Yeah,
plan, and I
I
think
see.
it's been around for a little bit.
Can we go to soulsmart.com to learn what it is?
Yes. I'm not sure what the website is. But yes, if you Google Soul Smart, it should take you to a page that kind of would probably be very similar-ish to Green Step Cities, where it breaks down the different certifications and levels and solar-ready actions that cities can take.
And is it a national program?
I believe so, but I'm not, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is. Yeah, I think it's run out of Colorado, and I forget, it might be the National Renewable Energy Lab there, if I remember.
That
right.
sounds right.
NREL, yeah. Yeah, so I think with that designation, and I think also, you know, with the action above that we talked about in hosting Solar Twin Cities Power Hour and that too, with that, yeah, that we can make more of a, and also promoting other programs on solar, like the Excel programs and that too. Which just made me think about with increasing access to solar, besides that designation, maybe we could do something about informing people about community solar. There are still community solar options, I believe. You know, I'm part of one in, it's community solar in Washington County. And there may be other opportunities out there. It can be in adjoining counties as well. So it can be in Dakota or Ramsey County. And so that may be something we could take a look at, if we could add maybe another item about promoting community solar. It's people who cannot afford the, you know, on-site solar, that they can sign up for community solar and still get some rebate on their their energy bill, on their electricity bill. All right. So now we're into waste, and I guess I'll point out that we have really three main areas that we've been working on for years. One to do with energy efficiency, renewable energy. And then second one is waste, promoting waste recycling, waste reduction. And so we have our item that we've had on there for quite a few years now is leveraging funds from Washington County Recycling Grant. And we talked about the project we have for this year and to develop projects next year to continue to be part of that program. And I see that as a very cost-effective way to address reducing waste and increasing recycling in the city. Any other ideas on that one that we might want to pursue as far as actions?
Multifamily included in that again?
Yeah, I think we could
Call it out some way.
call that out, specific projects to be determined in Q1 2024. And we could note that we want to make sure to include multifamily this year or next year. All right. I think we can move along to our other area that we have, and that is water conservation and also maintaining the quality of the water here in Oakdale. And, we've had Adopt Drain for a while and continue with that. One item on here that's listed that would again be good for environmental affair is the promoting grant opportunities for water quality improvements. And maybe we could even get one or two of the watershed districts that are in Oakdale to come out for a fair. So I know that's getting down into more specific actions, but good to, I think, be brainstorming a little bit about how we can actually do some of these things. And I do like going hand in hand with that is to understand the baseline health of Oakdale's local water bodies.
That would be helpful.
Yeah. Because I know residents have brought to me some issues like with Armstrong Lake that is right along Highway 10 near Skyview School there. And it's, for the last few years, has really been overgrown with various weeds in the lake, and I have talked to the South Washington County Watershed District, which that lake is in, about that, and they had a project to come out and actually work on that wetland that is to the east of that lake. east and south. And unfortunately, then COVID hit the year 2020, that they had people lined up to do that work. And I think they had money to do it too, and a project manager. And so it didn't happen in 2020 or 2021, and they've had problems getting funding and also with just staff to run a project like that. So, you know, I think there are needs within Oakdale, you know, especially the lakes that we look at. There are wetland areas too that have ponds and that, but I think especially if we could look at the lakes as a first go around next year and getting monitoring and data, and that would be great. And I think some of the lakes that we call lakes maybe are not qualified as lakes due to their acreage, but are fairly big. You know, we could include those as well.
I really like that list, the second dot that says provide education about and resources for water infiltration reuse practices, including, and then there's a nice long list of all kinds of different things that fall into that category, like rain gardens, which people are more familiar with, but green parking lots, permeable pavement. Anyway, there's a really helpful list there. I'm wondering whether there could be a way of introducing one or two or three of those into either the City Hall garden area or the Discovery Center, Nature Center garden area, so we could actually point to it and say, this is what a green roof looks like. That's a big deal. This is what a tree trench, tree box look like, or something like that. The Discovery Center does a good job with native plants, so we have plenty of examples there. But even if we had one place where we could go and look at a couple of them, that might be an incentive.
Yeah, I believe we do have rain gardens down at Tanner's Lake in the, just behind the ball field there, between the ball field and the beach, that we helped install 8 to 10 years ago, I think. So that would be one thing we could point to, and of course we have on the city website how to do rain gardens. That information's out there. So I think it's some of this education, we can promote the resources we have, and maybe promote some of the rain gardens we have around the city.
And is there a difference between rain garden and that big open sort of wetland over by Hy-Vee? It's bigger than a rain garden, I think, but it's really pretty now, and it has, you know, it's a sunken area, and it has all kinds of wildflowers around it, but I don't know, it might be just a rainwater catchment or something like that. But it might be nice to know different terminology. What is a rain garden? What isn't a rain garden? I know over in Willowbrook now they're, you know, providing some holes or depressions, and I'm not exactly sure what all that means either.
Yeah, well, some, there is a difference. The catchments are more holding ponds for rainwater
Okay.
before it goes into a wetland, and then we have a lot of those in Oakdale. And so and then a rain garden is really a garden that drains and takes up the water rather than it going onto the street or
Okay.
going into a storm sewer. So I think that is defined in our rain garden material. We have that resource. What is a rain garden? But I think there are other things like pervious pavers that, you know, could be used for driveways and that. It's a little difficult in Minnesota for driveways. If you've got a snow blower or something, that a little tricky using it on pavers, but not quite as easy here. I think the more we can point in education to things we already have in place, it helps. So any other comments on this section? No? All right. So relative to the Green Step Cities program, that we're continuing to take our metrics annually. And in looking at the Green Step Cities program and the information you provided, we've done a pretty good job on addressing best practices in that program, and that a lot of these are almost all green and that we've completed. And I think the important thing is that we focus on priority items for our city. And so I think we really have covered the priority areas, I think, in our work plan. And we want to continue to be part of the Green Step Cities program. And so we want to continue to make improvements on our metrics. And I think with what we have already planned, we're going to be helping our metrics. Yeah, I think as long as we're continuing to update the metrics on that, that's all we need to do for now. You know, and some of the things we're doing may affect, I think, one or two of those areas, but I don't think it's important that we address projects that just get more of the 29 best practices. I think we're doing the things that we need to do. So the other area is to assist Parks and Recreation Commission in planning efforts. Their city is going to be going through an update of the Parks Master Plan, and I think having our commission involved with that in some way in the planning efforts for that would be good, and that they're really, you know, the environmental aspects of our parks, we want to be promoting the right things there. And some of these things like looking at opportunities, as we did in Tanner's Lake Park, for, you know, rain gardens and things like that, or native plants and other things that would make our parks more environmentally sound. So I think that is it for the draft work plan. Any questions or comments in general on either that last item or other items throughout the plan that may have come up in the discussions? All right, well, this is just the start. We have some things to revise, and we have a month to think about them and come back in October. And hopefully we can pretty much finalize the plan at that point, at least have it ready for city council review and that. And think we're in good shape with this. It looks to be a productive 2024 for our commission. So getting back to our agenda, we also have now as a new business item, community development updates, and this is very important as you know, the community develops. We want to make sure that we're developing in a sustainable manner, and so we I think it's important for our commission to be aware of those, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Hannah, once again.
Thank you. There we go. So in an effort to keep the Environmental Management Commission informed about development activities in Oakdale, city staff has prepared a brief presentation. The first update is about Willowbrook and open space. As part of the master planned unit development agreement for the Willowbrook neighborhood, the city is responsible for the establishment and maintenance of open space. The 2023-2027 Oakdale Capital Improvement Plan includes 3 phases of open space restoration. Phase 1, which is 7.7 acres in outlots G, B, and C, is designated as a 2023 park project. There will be a diagram of these outlots on the next slide. In the summer of 2023, city staff solicited proposals from firms that specialize in prairie restoration and received 2 for Phase 1. Staff internally reviewed the proposals and recommended selection of Res Great Lakes. City Council approved the contract at their September 12th, 2023 meeting. Res Great Lakes will first create design plans for staff and prepare the sites this fall. And then hopefully in the spring of 2024, the seeding and planting will commence. The firm will then be responsible for hands-on maintenance of the prairies until the end of 2027. So this, it might be hard to see, but this is the Willowbrook neighborhood, and outlot G is this one right here where the Commons Park will be. And then outlot B is this, so this one sits between a few houses, and then this is the last outlot where prairie restoration will occur in Phase 1. Then there will be other open spaces out in the other parts of Willowbrook in the years to come. So we just wanted to give you a little update about that, since that will, hopefully we'll have a site visit with the ecologists and other team members from RES in the coming weeks, and then they'll really get the project rolling. So, you know, there might not be much change this fall yet, you know, where the year is winding down. And they're just gonna be getting some of that prep done, but, you know, next spring, things will start moving along, and then in a few years, we'll hopefully have very nice prairies in that neighborhood.
What about a park?
The Commons Park?
Yeah.
Yep, so that's, Commons Park is this, gonna be all of this section, and the construction will begin next spring for that. So there'll be some coordination between the parks people and the prairie people in that section of Willowbrook. There's gonna be a lot going on.
Prairie, then the gray part?
It's kind of around the wetlands, and there's
Oh,
a
yeah,
stormwater pond, so it's gonna be kind of just
Okay.
wetland buffer prairies. Yeah, most of that green space right there will end up being the park, so it'll be playground and other park amenities.
Remind me, oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
How many acres or what's the square footage again? I think you might have said it.
7.7 acres.
7%. Great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hannah, do you know the bodies of water in here, the ones you identified, there are 3 are holding ponds there?
2, I believe, are holding ponds, the top and the bottom, and then that, I believe, was wetlands before the development, but I'm not entirely 100% about that. But I believe these 2 are for sure stormwater ponds, and that was labeled more wetlands, and then these are also stormwater catchment ponds, I believe.
Yeah, just looking at the shape of some of these, they might have been wetland areas before, and then they may put holding ponds next to the wetland areas or something.
Yeah, I'm, still learning a lot about this development, so that some of that history I'm not 100% sure about now, but that's what I believe, yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions about Willowbrook? Okay. So Tanner's Lake redevelopment. The City of Oakdale Economic Development Authority received special legislative approval to form a tax increment financing or TIF district in 2008. The City Economic Development Authority then purchased the former Blackie's Restaurant site on the north side, which was this site. And then in 2014, the City Economic Development Authority purchased the parcel to the south, which was the former site of Toby's Bar. Various redevelopment proposals have occurred in the last 15 years. However, these proposals did not work out due to a multitude of factors. Therefore, in the fall of 2022, city staff revived efforts to pursue redevelopment of the properties. 3 developers submitted initial proposals, though one later withdrew. These proposals were presented to the City Council at their June 27, 2023 workshop meeting. And it was recommended and approved to have an exclusive rights agreement with a preferred developer who was, they submitted proposal B, which included an apartment building, 2,600 square feet of retail space, townhomes, a public pavilion, concessions, potentially a public boat dock, and boat rentals. So staff recommended selection of this proposal and city council members were supportive. So the exclusive rights agreement is the first step in the development process. It allows the developer to complete some due diligence prior to entering into a formal development agreement. So on the next slide, it's hard to see, the packet might be a little bit better, but you can kind of get a sense for the townhomes will be down here. And then the apartments will be up towards that more north side of the lots. So still more to come on this. It's in the very beginning development phases, but wanted to give you an update about that site because currently it's just a big, it was a concrete parking lot, and a Gold Line construction company is using it for staging while they're working on the Gold Line. So, but there are plans to redevelop that in the future.
Yeah, I occasionally get questions about what's happening with that. It's been quite a few years now, and it's been sitting there, and so nice to know that there are plans there.
Okay, moving on. Shoreland ordinance, which will have close implications with that Tanner's Lake redevelopment site. Land development on the shores of Minnesota's lakes and rivers is guided by Minnesota state statute. The shoreland rules establish minimum standards to protect habitat and water quality and preserve property values. In order to uphold these standards, local governments are required to have shoreland ordinances. The Department of Natural Resources ensures that local shoreland ordinances comply with the state shoreland rules. They also provide technical oversight and assistance. The City of Oakdale did not previously have a shoreland ordinance, therefore staff began drafting one in the spring of 2023. Adopting this ordinance will bring Oakdale's shoreland areas into compliance with the state. Additionally, it will enable future development, particularly at the city-owned Tanner's Lake properties. City staff has been working closely with the DNR throughout the summer. The next steps are formal submittal of the ordinance for DNR review and then City Council approval. Any questions on this development item?
So I assume shoreland has to refer to a lake and not a wetland, right?
Yep, so it will just be for, I believe, the 3 lakes in Oakdale. Yep. So the ordinance will specifically call those out and Okay, next item. Gotta get the PowerPoint back there. There it is. Okay, next item, the Oakdale Development Map. City staff recently created a new web-based development map which details new and upcoming development projects throughout Oakdale. The Oakdale Development Map can be accessed on the city website at this link. If you were to go to the city's website, there's an economic development webpage, and it would be there. Or there's also this link where you can directly access the GIS map. The Oakdale Development Map displays development projects at various stages of The 4 categories are under review, approved, under construction, and completed. Projects are considered to be under review once an initial application has been submitted. Projects are deemed approved once appropriate city council approvals have been granted to allow for construction. And then additional information available on the map includes the name of the developer, the date final approvals were granted, and if applicable, the number of residential units or commercial floor space. Listed projects will be updated at least monthly. And then here's a screenshot of one of the development projects in Oakdale. This is the Impact Apartments down by 94. So you can see that they're a multi-family residential development currently under construction by the developer Norhart. And then it shows the approval dates. And then it also shows that there will be 328 residential units at this property. So this is a similar layout to all the different development projects in Oakdale. And will be updated at least monthly.
Yeah, this is great because the issue in the past has come up, of our commission being in coordination with economic development. And, we used to get the economic development report, or at least the chair and vice chair would get that report when it would come out on regularly, quarterly or something. And, we've kind of moved away from that, and this will be good. And I think that commissioners, or at least we should talk about that who would like to be the lead person on looking at this regularly and just letting us know if there's anything we should be involved in. And generally, if there is something, and if there are environmental issues that are part of a development project, we get informed of that. But I think it's good to take a look through our lens at these projects to just see if something might raise some issue with us. Maybe it won't be an issue, but good to be aware of what's going on, as this update is great to know what's going on across the city. So this is great that they're going to have this available on the website.
And then the next quick update is, as you're all aware, the Gold Line Bus Rapid Transit is a planned 10-mile bus rapid transit line connecting St. Paul, Maplewood, Landfall, Oakdale, and Woodbury. The route will be mostly constructed north of I-94, and there will be 2 transit stations serving Oakdale, one at Greenway Avenue North and one at Helmo Avenue North. Construction continues throughout the project area with an anticipated 2025 opening. Crews are currently working on the new Bielenberg Drive Bridge in the Helmo Station area. That will go over I-94. And then when you have a chance, there's a link to a time-lapse video of the bridge construction. So in the PDF packet that was emailed, you'll be able to click that link and then see, basically from nothing to the starts of a bridge. So that was kind of fun to watch. And then kind of tying closely into that, the Helmo Station area. This is the Helmo Station PUD. This is an area north of I-94 and east of I-694. Prior to the construction of the Gold Line BRT and development of vacant lots, it consisted of approximately 30 acres of undeveloped land. The Gold Line BRT project created an opportunity to reimagine the land use in the area so that it can better support transit ridership. So two projects that I wanted to highlight was there will be a new park in this area, and then the Norhart Impact Apartments are currently being developed. The Norhart Impact Apartments, this building will feature 328 dwelling units and first floor commercial space for a coffee shop and a restaurant. There were initial intentions to provide electric vehicle charging infrastructure to their residents. Construction isn't far enough along to see that come to fruition, but that's something that hopefully will be available to residents. Other features of the Helmo Station area are parks and open space. As part of the planned unit development, a neighborhood park will be constructed and will be a central feature. Conceptual plans have yet to be finalized, but this centrally located neighborhood park is envisioned to provide passive areas for residents and visitors. Other open spaces in the Helmo Station area will provide ecological benefits and offer residents and visitors with trails, boardwalks, and gathering spaces. And then, are there any final questions? I know there had been interest in receiving updates regarding the new public works building, but I think that I will be able to provide an update regarding that at a future meeting.
Okay. And that last drawing, it's hard to tell on here, but is that open area to the west of Helmo there? That's a kind of a pale green, and there looks like a pond there. Is that going to be open space
Yep,
as well?
yep. So I think the original vision was to kind of have this like green belt that connected that more open space to the park, kind of going through the middle of the PUD. So that was that. Yes, that was the initial intentions. Apologies about the small map. It is kind of hard to read.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, that area's been busy with construction. I go by there often, but. All right, well, it's great to have that update. And I think with that new tool, we can stay in touch with developments. And actually, this year, we've been getting regular updates on community development, so that's been really great with everything going on. It's been very helpful. All right. The next item in our, well, are there any questions or comments by other commissioners? No. All right. So we have our editorial calendar that we're following through 2023. And again, this is a way to promote our communications with Oakdale residents, and see that September is Electric Vehicles Month, and that the week of September 22nd to October 1st is National Drive Electric Week. So so we do have things that are planned for this month regarding that, it looks like. And also then Energy Efficiency Month being next month. So there are a number of things we need to communicate about that. I'm wondering if it isn't too late to try to get a Citizens Utility Board meeting, have someone come in and put on a workshop for that. We've done it at City Hall here before, but maybe if Discovery Center could be used possibly. That might be something also to get, direct involvement of people.
Just to clarify, Chair Miller, you're talking about the clinic? Like a,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
The clinic, I'm sorry.
No,
I
no.
didn't say that. I know we did that initially with the Solar Twin Cities with the Solar Power Hour, was to offer an hour before the Solar Power Hour to have a clinic, and so it would maybe be good to have an early evening clinic or something like that for, if we can arrange that. So maybe we can see if that could happen sometime in October. I think it's timely with the heating season coming on, so. So are there any things you'd like to highlight, Hannah, about the communications? I see we have in our packet here the highlight of various things.
Yep, and yeah, the only other thing I would call out is there will be pumpkin drop-off at the Public Works building, so communications will post about that, leading up to the Halloween time, because it'll be available for about 2 weeks around Halloween, so that's something the county handles the logistics of. We just host the spot. But it went very well last year, so hopefully it's as successful this year.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I was going to elevate. It's written into our grant anyway, the pumpkin piece. So the pumpkin piece, it's like a movie. So that's great to see that we'll be highlighting that. Question, do we do anything for trees? Holiday trees?
I want to say Public Works does, because I feel like when I was talking with them regarding pumpkins, they said something about trees, but I can't say for sure.
So any comments on our editorial calendar? No, I think it looks good.
It's robust.
And just November reuse and recycling, so we can think about if there's anything there we want to highlight in November as well. Start thinking about that. All right. So next item are commissioner updates. If any of the commissioners have anything that was not on our agenda this evening that they would like to bring up, please do so now. Or if you've attended some workshop or something and want to tell us about that, would be great. No updates, okay. Well, we have our Mayor Zabel is here this evening for our city council update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First and foremost, I want to welcome everybody to fall allergy season. I have been celebrating for the past week or so, so bear with me, but it's here. Yes, it found us. Just a few updates from the city. So our biggest update is regarding our city budget for 2024. At our last city council meeting, we took our first official step towards adoption, and that's setting our preliminary levy. This is required by state law. It really is our ceiling for the levy. So over the course of the next few months, we'll work with our city staff to make any final trims and edits to the city budget. But it has been set. That is the highest we can go. Some highlights of our budget include the current, and I want to stress this is the proposal, so things could change, but we're fairly confident that we're almost there. The 2024 budget will include funding for 3 new police officers in the city of Oakdale, as well as an additional parks worker and some administrative help, all very needed positions. Also, as we're all seeing interest rates continue to climb and stay steadily high, the city continues to put more emphasis on using our cash and our reserves to pay for things like equipments and vehicles and avoid putting them on bonding. So that is a very positive outcome for our financial situation. This is our 3rd straight year, I believe, of not using bonds and, quote, the credit card for our equipment and vehicles, which is always a good thing. We also took action on 4 cannabis-related items at our last meeting. Actions pertaining to cannabis use in city parks, use of cannabis in spaces subject to public accommodation laws, establishment of new cannabis, or a prohibition of establishment of new cannabis businesses before the state of Minnesota releases guidance. As we all know, the state is taking the lead on regulation for cannabis businesses across the state. So in Oakdale, we're hitting the pause button until they roll out their rules so we understand how that impacts our zoning. And then finally, allowing the sale of THC products in liquor stores. That was something that was previously prohibited under state law. They changed it, so we're just updating our ordinance to reflect that. We've also had a lot of events lately. I always love that in September. We've had Touch a Truck, Family Fun Inflatables, Farmers Market. It is hard to believe we only have, I think, 4 farmers markets left. And then we all know what comes after that, winter. But I just want to extend a very big thank you to our recreation department. They've done so much good work throughout spring, summer, fall. We're seeing it now. They always do stellar work, so a big thank you to them. Finally, the State of the City address dropped earlier this month. You may have seen it online. If you haven't, please go visit the city's Facebook page or YouTube channel. It's posted there. Among topics that I discussed were public safety, communications, recreation, development, and more. So it was about 10 minutes. We shortened things up, polished it up this year, but I'm very happy with how it turned out. And a big thank you to the Ramsey Washington Cable Commission for their assistance in filming that. But it's a really good resource for our residents to understand what's happening around our community, what's changing. There's a lot of change and a lot of growth happening. So we encourage everybody to go check that out. Finally, a welcome to Chang for joining the EMC. We met with him about a month ago at the City Council workshop, and we're really excited to have you aboard here on the EMC, so welcome. Questions? What do you got for me?
Well, you have the budget set, and we mentioned in our discussion possibly getting $5,000 or $10,000 for assisting and doing energy audits, something along those, in that category.
Yeah.
Is that something that is within the budget boundaries that you've set, or?
Yeah, within the current budget, probably not, but we always do have discretionary funds for one-off type projects like that pop up. So I would encourage the EMC to send that through the process. That's something that City Council can absolutely evaluate. The crux of the city budget really looks at those ongoing long-term expenses. So personnel, infrastructure, vehicles, that type of stuff. We always do have methods of addressing one-time expenditures such as energy audits. So, and as those bubble up, we take them on the fly.
Great, great.
So please pass it along. I know Hannah will get that through the staff process, and then I think we should be able to handle that.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions? All righty. Well, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So our next meeting is going to be on Monday, October 16th at 7 p.m. right here in City Council chambers. And with that, I would look for an motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved?
Do I have a second?
Second?
All right. All in favor of adjourning?